Most applicants at schools like Penn, I'm sure you guys have sea of qualified applicants, right? With great GPA, high SAT scores, great leadership positions and all that. But you still need to deny about, 90% or more of the qualified applicants, right? So can you tell us, what are some key factors that really distinguish the kids that get in from those who don't?
Absolutely. I think that one of the great things about
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Vision interview. My name is Fred, and we have a special guest today. This is Maria, who is a former admissions officer from the University of Pennsylvania. Maria, it's great to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right. For the first question, can you tell us about yourself and your career?
Yeah. So I most recently worked at the University of Pennsylvania as an admissions officer from 2015 to 2021. And I worked in admissions overall for almost a decade. So I'm excited to talk a little bit more about the process and what that looks like.
Oh, that's a long time. Can you tell me a little bit about how the admission office is set up at Penn? Who works there and what kind of work do they do?
Yeah, so the Dean of Admissions leads the entire office, and it actually has about 60 people in it. And almost half of the entire office is dedicated to reading applications. So those admissions officers range in seniority and title, but they all have their own geographic territory, and they read apps from that area, get to know the schools and trends in that area so that they can bring that information into how they read the application and evaluate it.
And do you read the applications from different schools like Wharton and Letters and Sciences and stuff like that?
Great question. So that's a really unique aspect about Penn that is different from applying to other colleges. So Penn is actually divided into 4 undergraduate schools, and we require students to apply directly to the school that they're interested in. So there's the College of Arts and Sciences. It is the largest. It's 2/3 of the incoming class and 2/3 of the student body. And then there's the Wharton School, so all of the different business concentrations, and the School of Engineering. Those are similar in size to each other. And then the smallest one is the School of Nursing, and that's pretty unique for an institution like Penn to have a whole school dedicated to nursing as well. So when students apply, the admissions officers read by their geographic region all of the students from one high school. But when we are making the final selections, those are done by the undergraduate school that the student applied to.
Interesting. Can you tell us more about the admissions process, like what happens behind the curtains? So when I submit my app to Penn, what happens afterwards?
Absolutely. So students will have already told us which of the undergraduate schools that they're interested in, maybe their major, but that's a little flexible within the school. And so when we open an application, we do committee-based evaluation. So if you and I were the admissions officer and we were reading a application from my territory, I covered the whole Los Angeles area, then I, as the person who is the territory manager for LA, would look at all the academic components. So I'd look at the transcript, I'd look at the school profile, I'd look at the letters from the school, letters of recommendation, and you would look at the other components like the personal statement, the activities, the awards, and that sort of thing. The two of us look at each of our sections of the application at the exact same time. We talk about what we see, and we go ahead and apply ratings in a couple of areas and decide if the application is competitive enough to keep going or if it's time to let that go at that point. So that's the initial reading process with 2 readers for committee-based evaluation. And then when it goes on to the different selection committees, there's some more unique elements about the Penn programs that come into play. So most students apply with one single degree in mind. So they're applying as, say, like a science, technology, and society major, which is an interdisciplinary major in the College of Arts and Sciences. In selection committee, whenever we're going through the top applicants from different regions around the world for the College of Arts and Sciences, there will be a senior admissions officer in the room who is the chair in making the final decision about applications. There will be a representative from the College of Arts and Sciences present to take notes, but also to give their perspective from the academic side. And there will be supporting admissions officers in the room to talk about those applications. So that process is pretty straightforward. That's like what a lot of committees are like at a lot of institutions.
Right.
But Penn students have the opportunity to apply to these very special coordinated dual degree programs as well. So it's like the College of Arts and Sciences has a degree that is fused with a degree from the Wharton School. And so one of those is the Jerome Fisher Management and Technology programs. So if you're applying to M&T, you would actually graduate with 2 bachelor's degrees from Penn from 2 different undergraduate schools. And it's not just a separate program from each other, it's actually about how they are, the intersection of the disciplines. For selection committee for applicants who apply to coordinated dual degrees, there are additional materials that they need to submit, like additional essays. And there are more people in the room that are making the decision and talking about the application. So in the committee room, there will still be a senior admissions officer. There will be a representative from, say, the Wharton School, a representative from the College of Arts and Sciences. There's people from the program, the actual management and technology program, and then all the different like supporting admissions officers. Those rooms are kind of busy. And so that process is a little bit more complex and requires students to really, really be even more thoughtful about why they would apply to that program. And it just, it changes the calculus of how we navigate that process.
So for programs like M&T, you should only apply if you really love business and engineering together, right?
Together is the important part, exactly.
Makes sense. Okay. Now you touch on the evaluation criteria a little bit. What kind of rating do you use to evaluate the students?
Yeah, so we have 3 different ratings that we were using. The first one is called excellence of mind. The second one is called impact, and the third one is called alignment. So for excellence of mind and impact, it's a scale from 1 to 6, with 6 being the highest. And then for alignment, it's a scale of 1 to 4, with 4 being the highest. For excellence of mind, a lot of people, you can kind of hear that's more of the academic part already, but it's more about like your intellectual curiosity. It's not just grades and test scores. Those are important. We also look at the rigor of the courses that the student is taking based on what's available at their specific high school, and really thinking about any other academic awards or distinctions or achievements that they may have. So we might find that in the awards section, the activities list. We might find it in some of the letters of recommendation. And students who are really achieving at that local, regional, or national level are those students who are going to have like the 4s, 5s, and 6s. Those ratings will be associated with those higher levels of distinction and really pushing to take the most rigorous courses, have strong grades. That number indicates they have really strong academic preparation for Penn's program. For impact, it's a really important thing for us. One of the most important people in Philadelphia and for the University of Pennsylvania is Benjamin Franklin. We talk about him all the time. There's so many statues of him on campus. But one thing that he emphasizes is really how we're applying what we know, what we learn to change society. So that impact piece is looking at how students are involved in their community, how they're being leaders, how they are collaborating with other people. So the extracurricular profile is what leads to those higher ratings. When you have distinction as a leader at the regional level, the national level, that's when you get those higher like 4, 5s, and 6s. But also in your school community is like one of the most important parts to understand, like how are you improving the lives of your peers? How do you react to setbacks and be able to make space for everyone to be able to succeed in your school? So that can be clubs and organizations, that can be jobs, internships, all sorts of different things that we're understanding. And again, personal statements and letters of recommendation help us understand those components too.
I see.
We take all of that, we think about the school that you've applied to, the major you're interested in, the preparation you have academically, the way you've been committed to being involved with other people, and think about the alignment for that particular kind of area or field of study you've said that you're interested in, and what Penn offers. So that alignment level will be higher, closer to 4, and those lower ratings are going to indicate that like is still maybe a great student, but just not as much of a fit for what we're going for right now.
Most applicants at schools like Penn, I'm sure you guys have sea of qualified applicants, right? With great GPA, high SAT scores, great leadership positions, and all that. but you still need to deny about, I don't know, like 90% or more of the qualified applicants, right? So can you tell us, like, what are some key factors that really distinguish the kids that get in from those who don't?
Absolutely. I think that one of the great things about the rating system is that the alignment component is meant to really emphasize how all the dots are connected. And that's one of the things that really helps an application to stand out. Sometimes I think of the application as like creating a picture. So you start with this like blank piece of paper and the application pieces build onto it, but it just is the outline for the basic parts of the application. But the more that each of the pieces starts to come together, you start to see some recurring themes, and you're seeing like some overlap between what the school says about you, about what you do outside the classroom, about the interests that you have. Then you really start to get more color that's added. You get to see more of the detail, and being able to actually envision someone on the campus, you have a fuller picture as opposed to like, you know, kind of a bare bones picture. And that's what really makes students stand out. So for some students, that's because they're all in on one thing, and that's been their thing forever, and they're doing everything related to that. And for other students, there's more exploration, and there are a few things that they're interested in, and they've pursued them in different ways. And so they have a little bit more of a broad profile. Both of those are very competitive at Penn and make up such. Both of those types of students are admitted to Penn, and they make up the wide range and kind of like diversity of the class, have a dynamic experience, learn from each other, but also have something to contribute when they're on campus.
Okay, so being focused is good, but being like more diverse is also good.
Absolutely. It's all in how you explain, like, why does that matter to you? How did you get here? What makes you really excited, and how do you want to use that to change the world going forward? That's what really helps students to stand out in the application process.
What are some noticeable like trends or changes happening at your university that applicants should be aware of?
Yeah, one of the things that Penn is known for is really that kind of interdisciplinary approach to academics. So I mentioned one of the majors earlier is like 3 concepts in one, right? Like science, technology, and society. So Penn is going even further with interdisciplinary programs and introducing new ones. Over the last couple of years, there's been a concentration in that way. So that's one of the things that's changing. Penn is actually the first Ivy League institution to offer a major in AI as well. So within the School of Engineering, students can get a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in AI directly. So if they're like really passionate about exploring it specifically, they could do that. But AI is being incorporated into so many elements of education. One other thing that's happening is that on campus, the student organizations is a huge part of student life. Because again, college is more than going to class. Right. And so there's actually a lot more funding for student organizations to be able to do more, whether it's like how they get involved with the community, how they're able to support students getting to know each other and collaborating. So that's an exciting time for students on campus as well.
Oh, interesting. Oh. Do you have any message or advice you'd like to share specifically with Asian or international students who are considering Penn or other top universities?
Yeah, we see so many talented students apply from across this region, across the world, right? But across the region in Asia, and I think that there are many achievements that are at the global scale, which is always great to see. But sometimes I see a little bit of a trade-off sometimes for what that means for getting involved in their local school community, and I would encourage students and families to really think about not to make that trade-off, that it's very important to see with the people closest to you who see you most often and can really speak to who you might be as a community member and a bridge builder and an activator, to be able to talk about how you have kind of changed the place where you already are. So finding and identifying what's going on in your community and finding unique ways that appeal to your interests to be able to address them and improve them is really important to us. And I think that sometimes it can make that picture more full and really something that will translate well at Penn, more than maybe some of these like global distinctions might. So just don't overlook that part.
Okay. That was really insightful. I feel like we touched on a lot of details that students generally don't know about Penn admissions. And thank you so much for being here, and we hope to have you here again in the near future.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay.